You know, it's been said that ultimately life comes down to just a few important decisions. Man, talk about pressure. Is that really true? Well, like I say, you know, in my 30-plus years of experience, that statement certainly applies when it comes to the success of your retirement plan and the lifestyle you're going to enjoy in it. This morning, we're going to unpack some key points and decisions you'll face ultimately and could make a huge difference in your retirement. And we're glad you're with us. Hey, welcome. This is the Wealth Guardians radio show. I'm your host, Doug Ray, and I appreciate you spending some of your weekend with us. Bryce is here in the studio with me. Bryce, how's it going, man?
It's doing all right. How are you doing, Doug?
Hey, now that it quit raining, we got sunny skies. I am in love with spring. And for those of you who are new to our show, Ray Financial and the Wealth Guardians is a local independent firm that works with folks within 10 years of retirement, as well as those who've already retired. Most people don't know how to turn their retirement saving accounts into steady, lifetime retirement income. And I focus my practice for years on retirement income planning, and I believe there's two powerful truths when it comes to your finances in retirement. Number one, what got you to retirement will not necessarily get you through retirement. And number two, losses mean more than gains in retirement once you're not drawing that paycheck.
Very true, Doug. And for those who aren't familiar with us, we are a wealth management firm that specializes in retirement planning. Most importantly, we practice as fiduciaries, which means we are required to make recommendations that are in your best interest, not ours. And what we do is we create personalized written retirement income plans that show you in black and white how you can retire the job, yet still keep the paycheck. And our clients live the retirement lifestyle they've earned and is important to them.
And before we get started in today's show, as always, I want to start it out by saluting our military, our first responders, our veterans. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice and that of your families. Thank you so much.
Especially the families, yes, indeed. Okay, let's go ahead and get started, Doug. Today's show, I'm going to sum up with the words decisions, decisions, and decisions. And you know, each day you make thousands, but few of them have long-lasting consequences. However, other decisions that you make can have a huge impact, and that's especially true when it comes to financial decisions regarding your retirement plan. You know, we've looked around various internet sources, and it seems that each of us makes about 35 decisions each day. And I know in my case, my wife would say about 34,000 of those are wrong, but that's for another story for another day. And it also seems that Cornell University researchers have found that the average adult makes over 200 decisions each day just on food alone. Now, thankfully, there aren't that many decisions when it comes to retirement planning, but the decisions you make carry a lot of weight, no pun intended. And the decisions within one's retirement plan comes down to specific areas, and we're going to talk about each one in detail this morning. We're going to talk about how and when to elect Social Security so you pocket the most lifetime benefits for yourself and your spouse. In addition to Medicare, what options to select to protect assets from healthcare expenses. We're going to talk about the types of retirement accounts to maximize tax efficiency. We're going to discuss which legal documents you should have in preparing for your retirement years. And we're going to talk about planning strategies to minimize the effects of taxes in retirement. So, Doug, let's tackle the first critical decision, Social Security.
Before we do that, I want to go back to this 200 decisions about food every day.
Yeah?
You know, I kind of heard the same thing a few years ago. Men think about sex 200 times a day. Now, look, I like food and sex as much as the next guy, but I'm not sure. 200 seems like an awful lot to me.
They must be counting every bite. Should I have another bite? Should I choose on the left side or the right side? I mean, how do you measure decisions?
Let's move on.
Okay.
Leave it where it is. Yeah, you know, the analogy about Social Security is, it's the foundation of any retirement plan, whether you've saved a lot of money for your retirement or very little. And having a strong foundation is really key, whether you're talking houses or retirement plans. The stronger the foundation, the longer it lasts, no matter the condition that you're thrown in. So there's a lot of chatter in the press about changes that are going to be coming to Social Security, and we've talked on past shows many times about these changes and what they'll be and when they'll come. But generally agree that anyone currently at age 55 when the changes come is going to be grandfathered into the old system. And, you know, what's more important here is the option of turning on collecting that benefit. And a lot of folks think that, there's only 3 options. You can turn it on at 62, or wait till 66, or then 70. But the truth is, you can turn on the benefit and turn off the benefit, anywhere in between. And all these options are different for everybody else. A combination of when and how you do it can really affect the amount of money you're going to receive in your lifetime.
Big time, yep.
For a married couple, for example, it can mean $100,000 or more.
We've seen it.
Absolutely. We do it every single week for folks. So I guess the important note is the options only apply if you haven't started receiving your benefit or if you're less than 12 months into your benefit prior to full retirement age. Decision and strategy is unique. It depends on the individual, the circumstances, and it really, really pays to work with a professional to identify your best strategy for your own plan. Social Security people, the office, they cannot give you this advice. The only thing they can do is tell you what your benefit is today.
Exactly right.
So we've got sophisticated software that will calculate every conceivable possible combination of turning your benefits on to produce and squeeze out every single possible nickel that you can get in your lifetime. So give us a call if you're interested in a Social Security optimization report. It's free and there's no obligation. Our number is 336-391-3409.
And where can they find us on that interweb, Doug?
So go to www.thewealthguardians.com. Okay,
Doug. Good information about Social Security there. That is one of the bigger factors in helping create a retirement plan for somebody. Doug, another big decision revolves around pensions. And for those who are fortunate enough to have one, that is kind of a dying breed to a certain degree. There are a few companies out there that still offer these, and we do have clients with pensions that we've assisted them in the decision-making process. But talk to us about that.
Yeah, we are right now working with a couple of cases where they've got to make that decision of when and how to turn that pension on, because there are decisions that involve the options, especially their survivorship percentages.
And not even if you just turn it on, but there's sometimes a lump sum option as well.
There is. In almost all cases, there's some kind of a lump sum option. Do you want to roll it over to an IRA or do you want that lifetime income? The big takeaway here is generally the pension decisions are made one time, and once you make that decision, you can't change it.
It's done.
In order to make the best decision, you need to look at the overall picture, not just the dollar amount of a pension benefit. Don't select the single option because it's the biggest paycheck per month. That could be an absolutely wrong decision, or it could be the most perfect decision for you. You got to factor in how it affects the tax scenario and, again, make a lifetime impact. So it's beneficial to work with a retirement specialist that can make up and help you in the entire situation.
Absolutely, no doubt about that. And also no doubt that listeners understand that Social Security and preventions provide what we call lifetime income, just like the paycheck. But like we mentioned, probably only about 25% of the people we work with are fortunate enough to have pensions. I think that might be a little high, too. Realistically, Social Security itself is not going to be enough to live off of during retirement. It's not going to pay for all the expenses that you're used to. But yet most retirees realize the huge advantage of having lifetime income to cover their costs, so their lifestyle in retirement is what they plan for. Are there decisions people can make to ensure what we call lifetime income, Doug?
Yeah, there's several options out there for people that don't have pensions. They can create their own personal pension if they want to using retirement accounts like their 401ks, their IRAs, their Roth accounts, or their 403bs, for example. Insurance companies offer plans that allow people to position money from retirement accounts into vehicles that pay out a guaranteed income over a lifetime or a joint lifetime.
No matter how long you live.
Yeah, and that's important. The joint life payout's very important if you want to make sure that your spouse has something left over after you're gone. And one of the big benefits of these plans, they're protected from stock market losses. If the market goes down, which, folks have been warning you, it will eventually go down.
It has been known to do that.
Yeah. And these accounts are completely isolated from the downturn. Your balance in those accounts are not going to go down. Your income from those accounts are not going to go down. In fact, when we craft a retirement plan, we actually build in increasing lifetime income because the inflation factor is so important there. You know, it's not hard to do these plans if you work with somebody who's professionally trained in the area. And what I mean by that, you know, Bryce and I have specific training in retirement income planning. You know, in the beginning of the show, I said to you that what got you to retirement may not necessarily get you through retirement because the math changes completely.
It does.
When you're building wealth going into retirement, it matters little if the market's going up and down. Yeah, you don't like to see the down, but you're putting money into the account. And when the market's down, you're buying more and more shares with the same dollar. But flip it around when you're in retirement. When you go into retirement, you're taking money out of the account. And let's say, for example, you're taking $1,000 out of your account as monthly income. And as the market goes down, the shares in your account are decreasing in value. So the same $1,000 that you're taking has to sell more shares as they go down in value. You see what I'm saying? This is reverse dollar cost averaging.
Absolutely. And Doug, you're a Navy man. I would use the analogy that when you're saving for retirement, that's kind of like sailing in open waters. Yet when you're approaching retirement, that's kind of pulling into the harbor, and that's where the real skill set comes into it. That's where you don't want to just use the same open water navigating abilities that you might have, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, when you're docking the ship, it's pucker factor time because things are tight. You know, you don't want to run into the dock. You don't want to hit another ship.
That's where the mistakes can really be costly.
It's extremely costly when you get into
the retirement
phase of life. So, folks, I'll throw the offer out. Consider it a second opinion. Come in, sit down with us. There's no cost or obligation, and we'll do your retirement plan, your Social Security optimization for you, absolutely free and no obligation. All you got to do is call the office, 336-391-3409.
All right. Very good, Doug. Folks, thank you for being with us. We're up against a quick break. You are listening to the Wealth Guardians radio show. And when we come back, we'll continue this conversation about the important decisions you'll need to make to ensure the success of your retirement plan. Welcome back to the Wealth Guardians radio show, where we help our clients retire the job, but not the paycheck. And before the break, we were discussing important decisions that will influence the success of one's finances and lifestyle in retirement. And for listeners who are 5 to 7 years or closer to retirement and would like to confirm that they're making the best decision for their retirement, we do offer a no-cost, no-obligation second opinion to make sure that you're on the right path. You can give us a call, 336-391-3409, or if you just want to learn more about us on the interweb, go to us at www.thewealthguardians.com. And Doug, we've touched on options for filing Social Security. We've talked about decisions in regards to pensions and how to create personal pension if your company does offer one. So next on our discussions point today is involving healthcare.
You know, Bryce, I really like what you just said a moment ago. Retire the job and not the paycheck.
Yeah.
I like that. That just sounds good to me.
Well, I didn't write it, so thank you.
That's all right. Yeah, but that's what we do. We retire the job and not the paycheck.
That's exactly right. And that will probably sound appealing to some people out there, because when we've talked to people who are retiring, the one thing that makes them nervous is not having that regular paycheck come in on a biweekly or a monthly basis. And that's what holds them back from retiring, even though they can. So if we can replace that, which we can do, that works for a lot of people.
Bryce, I guarantee you there's somebody out there, maybe 2, 3, or 4, that are listening to this show right now, and they've got that retirement decision right in front of them, whether they, it's on their own effort or it's been forced upon them. But let me just tell you folks right now, you're going to go through several situations. Every single family we've ever retired goes through these stages.
Yeah.
The first one is when we tell them they can retire, they're elated. They're happy. They're joyous. It's just wonderful news.
They thought they might not be able to retire for another 2 years or so.
Exactly.
No, we can make the numbers work for you right now.
Yep. Then when they get close to that date, they get apprehensive. They get kind of scared. Butterflies are flying in the stomach. You know, they think, am I making the right decision?
Am I burning a bridge that can't be unburnt?
Yeah, and it's normal. I mean, think about it. You have worked all of your adult life. That paychecks come in every other week, and now you don't have it. It's gone. But here's the other thing. This is the good news. Once we get somebody retired, once they're a client, we have at minimum face-to-face meeting annually. And Bryce and I can tell you we have never, ever had anybody tell us that they are sorry they retired. In fact, most of the time they tell us they are loving life. They're busier in retirement than they were when they worked. So,
indeed. All right, Doug, very true. Let's talk about the healthcare now.
All right. So most of you folks don't realize the challenge of healthcare costs. It's important that you make provisions for planning for these costs. They're high, and they sure don't show any signs of getting any cheaper. Average couple in retirement, can you believe this? Listen to the statistic. The average couple in retirement will pay over $250,000 out of pocket in their lifetime for healthcare cost. It's amazing.
Well, I'm sure everyone's just got that sitting around, though. That's not a problem.
Oh, yeah,
right?
It's in their piggy bank. Yeah, look, Medicare is going to be your primary insurance, but, you know, you're going to need some help there because Medicare doesn't pay for all the expenses. Generally, it pays about 80% of the cost, so it's important to have a supplement there. You know, the Med Sup plan is going to cover most of that 20%. And again, the best plan depends on circumstances like your income, your health history. And, you know, we've got a wonderful asset for you folks. Bonnie Williams in our Charlotte office is an expert in the med supplement planning, and she is so patient and wonderful with you. She will find you the absolute best supplement plan for your circumstances. So take advantage of her. It doesn't cost you a thing but a phone call to Bonnie. You can get in touch with Bonnie at our office here in Clemens at 336-391-3409. Now, let's move on to another huge cost, and that's long-term care. You know, it's not covered by Medicare, folks, so don't make that mistake. There's policies out there that can cover these costs and protect other retirement accounts. And if it's not used, if you go through life and you never need it, you don't get sick or frail, then what's left in that account can pass to a beneficiary. So it's not like the old long-term care plans that were built like your automobile policy. If you never wreck your car, you never use your automobile policy. Well, the old long-term care policies were the same way. If you never got sick and went into a facility or needed home health care, then you lost all those premiums. So all of these decisions, they have to be addressed, and they have to be built into a successful retirement plan.
Very good. All right, Doug. Another important decision that people have to make out there as they're approaching retirement or in retirement does not involve so much the amount of money that's in their account, but the type of accounts used for retirement planning. And so we're not talking about necessarily what stocks or bonds or CDs someone has within their portfolio. It's more of the types of accounts that these are held in. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, Bryce, there's several different things that you have to consider when you're talking about the type of account. You know, as always, there is no perfect type of account for retirement. You know, each has advantages, each has its disadvantages, and it's very dependent on personal circumstances and which way you want to spend time and how you want to use your money. So, you know, a brief discussion is this. When you come in and sit down with Bryce and I, we actually have a 4-step process in designing and building your retirement plan. It typically takes us about 4 meetings. Sometimes they can be longer than 4 meetings, 5 or 6, sometimes even shorter.
Right.
But the general process is this. Our first meeting, you come in, you sit down. It's a get-to-know-each-other meeting. We're going to ask you a lot of questions. We're going to ask you to bring in a lot of different pieces of information, all your account statements, life insurance, tax returns, that kind of thing. It'll be detailed to you in an email, so you don't have to worry about remembering what to bring in. And from those, we'll build our second meeting. Our second meeting is when we actually present you your Social Security optimization report. We do a risk analysis on your portfolio. We do risk tolerance on you, and we want to see if it matches. Is your risk tolerance the same as the risk you're assuming in your portfolio?
And most of the time it isn't.
I was about to ask you, Bryce, how many times do we see it's completely opposite?
I would say probably 1% of the time is somebody's risk tolerance exactly in line with the assets in their portfolio.
Yeah, it's amazing. And here's the other thing we're going to do in that second meeting. We're going to analyze your fees and cost of your portfolio. Almost everybody out there thinks they're paying 1%. Well, you're not.
No.
Most people are paying around 3%.
And that's why we call it the eye-opening meeting. The second meeting we call the eye-opening meeting. And, Doug, another thing that we look at that I really like is where we analyze the funds that they're in and we rank them we don't rank them. We show them how they are ranked amongst the peers in those fund groups. And that's usually pretty eye-opening for somebody as well. They think they're in some pretty good mutual funds. And they find out of 1,450 funds in that family, they're in fund 1,449.
Oh, for example, we had somebody in this week who had his entire 401k in one of those Target 2020 funds.
Right.
And his particular Target 2020 fund, there was like 250 of them available. His was like 213 out of 250.
Right.
Now, come on. You're paying an advisor a fee to put you in a bottom dweller fund?
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we're going to examine that in that meeting. Then the third meeting, we call it our draft plan meeting. That meeting is where we're going to put everything up on a big screen for you to look at. We're going to build out your retirement plan. We're going to stress test that retirement plan. We're going to put it through lots of down market cycles. We're going to ask you to add to it, change this, do that. Lots of what-if scenarios can be played. And once we get it custom built just for you, then in our fourth meeting, that's when we present you with our written documents, your written roadmap to retirement.
That they get to walk home with.
They get to walk home with. It's
look over to their heart's delight.
Yep. It's in a nice blue binder. We're going to go over, in that third meeting, our investment recommendations, how to restructure your portfolio to make sure you suffer no more than a 5 to a 10% loss in a 2008 type down market, and cut your fees.
And that's probably my favorite meeting because we, as you said, we stress test their current portfolio, but we also stress test our recommendations so we can compare apples to apples. What would happen if another 2000 to 2008 market crash happened as soon as you retire? Because there are people that happened to, and there's people that'll happen to again. And that also is eye-opening because they see, gosh, I thought I was in some pretty safe investments here, but if I retire and the market goes funky again, what does that do to my retirement? And what would it do to my retirement if I follow some of the recommendations that the Wealth Guardians are showing us? And it can work out pretty well for them.
Usually does. Folks, again, we don't pressure you into anything. It's free. There's no obligation. It's, we do a lot of work, but we're trying to earn your business.
It's additional information that can only help.
Yep. Yeah, like I said, consider it a second opinion. If you've been working with an advisor for years, if they're not a specialist in retirement planning, get that second opinion. I mean, if you were facing surgery, you'd probably get a second, maybe even a third opinion from a specialist, right?
Absolutely.
Is your retirement no more important than surgery? I'd say it's probably right up there.
Yep, just about. Okay, Doug, good information. Our next point that we want to cover, it doesn't have anything to do with money per se, but it's an important decision nonetheless. It's often neglected, is the legal documents that one needs to have ready in retirement.
Yeah, at a minimum, I think everybody should have a will. They should have a health care power. They should have power of attorney for one another. And if you haven't updated your documents in years and years, especially, the kids are gone and grown up, and especially so many of you are moving in from other parts of the country. North Carolina is a beautiful place to live in retirement. We meet many of you from, across the country. You really need to update your documents and make sure that they will work under North Carolina law. Lots of states are a little bit different. I would say most of the time your documents are probably good, but please, we've got a referral with a really great elder and estate law attorney right here in the Triad. So, again, if you want to get your documents checked out, give us a call at 336-391-3409. And we'll help you out with those documents as well.
Okay, very good. And Doug, we talked about this in detail in a recent show, but another important decision in regards to retirement accounts and plans has to do with taxes, because it really affects the ultimate value of the retirement accounts, correct?
It is. Taxes, we've got a golden opportunity now with the tax law change, and we talk to our clients all the time about being able to take those forever taxed accounts and turn them into never taxed accounts. I wish we had time in today's show to go over that with you again. It's so important. But Roth conversions is one thing. Even just taking distributions and cleaning the taxes off your IRA accounts right now makes a lot of sense with the 10 and 12% tax brackets. They're wider than they used to be. So let's take advantage of that. Well, folks, we're out of time. We thank you so much for listening to the Wealth Guardians radio show, and we will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.